The Yankees just swept the Orioles. 4 games. And they didn't just win them. They controlled every single one. 7-2, 9-4, 11-3, and 12-1. This wasn't close. This wasn't situational. This was complete. But this series was more than just the results, because it showed us what this team looks like at its best and how they're starting to make decisions like a serious team. So let's look at this series. Game 1, Yankees win 7-2. Warren goes out 6.1 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. It's an absolutely dominant performance. He had home runs in the second inning from Caballero and then Rice. Rice, Judge, and Bellinger all had 2 hits in this game. The only negative was Grisham had a fielding error in the 7th inning that led to the Orioles' second run. Game 2, Yankees end up winning 9-4. Weathers goes out, pitches 5+ innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. This was Cody Bellinger's game. He goes 4 for 4, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, and 3 runs scored. Grisham also went 2 for 4 with a home run, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. Game 3, the Yankees win 11-3. Judge robs a home run early in the 3rd inning. Fried ends up going 5.1 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. It was not his best performance, but he grinded through it. Rice ends up going 2 for 2 with a home run, an RBI, and 2 runs. Judge follows him up, going 2 for 4 with a home run and 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored. But this game was the Jason Dominguez game, because he ends up going 3 for 5. He hits his first home run of the season, has 2 doubles, 3 RBIs. 2 of those hits came in 1 inning alone. It was a great performance from him. McMahon also added a 3-hit performance, going 3 for 4 with 1 RBI and 1 run scored. And then you have Game 4, where the Yankees just absolutely dominated, winning 12-1. Schlittler goes 5.2 innings, 7 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. He walked in the only run that they scored. Judge ends up going 2 for 4, hits a home run in the 1st inning, ends up with 4 RBIs and 2 runs scored. Every single starter except for Wells had a hit in this game. Wells went 0 for 2, but also had 2 walks. And we scored 3 runs in the 6th and 6 runs in the 8th to really just capitalize this series. It's not just a series win. That's a statement. 39 runs scored, 10 runs allowed. That's dominance on both sides. And most importantly, it shows that they have multiple ways to win. So let's look at what held and what didn't in this series. Well, what held? The starting pitching. Again, this is the foundation of this team. They set the tone early in games, they limited damage, and they kept everything under control. You could see that in all 4 of their performances. They all pitched well. Another thing that held was the offensive explosion. And this is new at this level of consistency. It wasn't just one big game. It was 4 straight games of pressure. And that changes everything. I mean, they increased their run production every single game. And they started out in game 1 with 7 runs. 7, 9, 11, 12. 4 straight games of scoring a lot of runs. The third thing that held was controlling the games from start to finish. There was no scrambling, no chasing, no chaos. They controlled all of these games and they dictated what was going to happen in all 4 games. So, what didn't hold? Well, it's tough to say that. We can more like say what didn't get tested. So, number 1, that's tight game execution. They didn't really have to grind in this series. So, that is still a bit of a question going forward. The closest they came was one of those games they were tied 3-3 in the 6th inning. But, ultimately, all of these games ended up being easy victories. And number 2 is pressure situations. Everything was comfortable. We didn't see any stressful situations in any of these 4 games. So that's something that we're going to want to see when we face, better competition. But we just did not see that in this series. So, and that's not a bad thing. It's good to win these series against lesser teams easily. That's how it should be. That's how a championship team works. You take care of business. Now, coming into this stretch, the question was, can they expand beyond just the pitching-driven wins? And this series answered that. Yes. Because now you're seeing the pitching control and consistent offensive production. And that's the evolution. That's the next level. We saw the game against the Angels where we put up 11 runs. We saw a game against the Kansas City Royals where we scored 13 runs. But to do this consistently over a 4-game series in every single game, that's the next level. The turning point of this series was Game 1 early innings, because that's where this series was decided. Pretty much the 2nd inning of Game 1. After you had Caballero's home run, and then Rice comes up and hits the 3-run homer. They came out aggressive. They took control immediately. And from that point on, Baltimore never really pushed back. But that's what dominant teams do. That's what the Yankees need to do against these teams that are clearly not as good as them. As for player performances, the positive was our full lineup production. From top to bottom, we had pressure, we had traffic on the base paths, we were creating runs. It wasn't just one player carrying the team for the whole series. This was a complete offense. I said we had the Cody Bellinger game, and yeah, Cody Bellinger went 4 for 4 and had 2 home runs, but you had Grisham hitting a home run in that game. We had 9 total runs scored in that game. The next game was the Dominguez game. He went 3 for 5 and he hit his home run, 2 doubles. But you also had your home runs from Judge and Rice as well. Like, everyone on this team in the lineup was contributing throughout the series. And that's how a dominant championship level team needs to win. You need to have production throughout the lineup. It can't just be Rice and Judge every day. So what's the concern coming out of this series? You could say the lack of adversity. This isn't a negative. It's just something to watch. we didn't face resistance. They didn't face a great team. So now we need to see what this version of this team with dominant pitching and explosive hitting looks like under pressure against better teams. And what's trending right now? Well, it's the team ceiling. It's expanding. This is the biggest development. Before, it was just mainly pitching carrying the team. Now, you've got the pitching and the offense clicking together. That raises the ceiling significantly. Because you don't just have to rely on one when you have multiple options. As for our structural check, this series wasn't just about the games. We had things happening during this series off the field as well. So, look at the Anthony Volpe decision. The Yankees made another difficult call here. They decided not to bring Volpe back after his rehab assignment and rather reassign him to AAA and keep Caballero at shortstop. And that matters because it tells you they're prioritizing performance over expectation. They're not just rushing players back into roles that they're given for no reason. And they're making decisions based on now. Who's performing now? Caballero's gotten hot since the entire second half of April. You don't want to sit him to have Volpe, who's coming back from an injury, and if he doesn't perform well, then you got real tension and issues within the team there, and the fans are going to be letting you have it. Like, this was the right call, and I think most people agree. And this is how serious teams operate. The series also had a different kind of moment, which was the passing of John Sterling. That's a voice that defined Yankees baseball for generations. And the way the team played in the final game felt like a fitting tribute. Clean, dominant, and professional. Now I remember being a kid when I first was learning how to score games. And I had a scorebook at home. And I would just sit there listening to the radio, listening to John Sterling call these games while I filled in my scorebook. I also remember being in the car at night, driving somewhere with my dad, listening to John Sterling, painting the picture of what was happening in the game. The Yankees lost a legend, the world lost a legend, and an incredible storyteller. And he will be missed. So after this series, what is aligned? Our starting pitching is still the foundation. Our offense is now contributing consistently. And the decision-making from this organization is greatly improving. What still needs to be proved? Well, that would be performance under pressure and sustaining this level against better teams and stronger resistance. What do we learn from this series? Well, number one, this is the ceiling. This is what this team looks like when everything clicks. There wasn't a single game where you're going into the 8th and 9th inning thinking, are we going to win this game? Is somebody going to blow this? No. It was in control pretty much from start to finish. Some of the games, it was from the second half on. Regardless, there were no nail biters. Number two, we learned they're expanding how they win. When the offense hits like this consistently, you don't just have to rely on the starting pitching. Now it's a balance. Your pitchers can have a bad start. Know that the hitters are going to make up for it. If the hitters struggle like we saw earlier in the year, that dominant starting pitching can still win you games. Having multiple ways to win is what a championship team is all about. And the third thing we learned from this series is that the organization is acting differently. Now we've seen them demote Heel to AAA. We've seen them now option Volpe to AAA. We've seen them DFA Randall Grichuk. They're making moves that a serious contender makes. It's, giving players playing time based on merit, based on performance. Decisions are being made earlier, they're more decisive, and they're more confident. So let's go to the trend line. Starting pitching, still trending up. The offense, trending up. The execution, trending up. Decision making, trending up. I think after this series, every single facet of this team is trending up. And that's a great thing to see. When this team is on, they are scary good. So what should we look for in the next series against Texas? Well, number one, what happens when the games tighten again? That's the real test. And we know Texas has really good pitching. So we should see better competition, like we saw in the series with them last week. Number two is, can the offense stay consistent? Not just bursts, not just one game out of 3, but can they consistently score a lot of runs? And number 3, will they continue making the tough decisions? That's becoming a part of their identity now. That's who they are right now. And I would love to see them continue to do that. And even if Caballero starts to struggle at shortstop, I don't think it should be a given that Volpe is the next one called up. You have to look and see who's playing the best at AAA at that point. Is it Volpe? Maybe. Is it Oswaldo Cabrera? He's also down there. And you've got George Lombard Jr., who was just promoted from AA. Whichever one of those guys is on fire, and it might not be Caballero, it might be Ryan McMahon. If any one of those guys starts to struggle, the next guy brought up should be the guy who is performing at that moment. So the final verdict, this is the best version of the Yankees that we've seen all year. It's not just because they won, but because of how complete this team looked. But the standard isn't dominating one series, it's sustaining it. And that's the next step. That's the standard. Not just showing how good you can be, but proving it again when it matters. This is The Standard with Brian Leavy.